Housing, of course, as you know, is a basic need of every human being, just as food and clothing. In Nigeria, majority of our cities are fast becoming homes to scores of individuals due to influx. With this trend, there has been an increase in the demand for homes, accommodation across the country, especially in the cities, urban centers, suburban centers, and all. Now, what has been in contention lately is the figure being quoted by everyone from here and there for the housing deficit.
Including the minister.
Now, of course, the minister simply said, this week, as you heard, 17 million housing deficit is a lie. It's interesting that has come up, but let's move forward. So in the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, that's the sole government agency that has the responsibility for the provision of affordable housing through mortgage finance to Nigerians. According to the 2019 figures, about 5 million Nigerians are registered contributors to the National Housing Fund platform. I bet millions others are not even aware. And as at the first quarter of 2019, the NHF mortgage loans approved by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is just over 30,000, of which around 20,000 applications were disbursed. This shows a deficit of over 10,000 applications and further bring to light the issues affecting housing finance in Nigeria. This morning, we have Ahmed Dangewa, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, join us in conversation. He joins us from Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, let me put that question to you as well. Do we have a housing deficit, or it's the accommodation deficit that we have?
Well, good morning, everyone. Quite well, the housing deficit that is being profiled all over has never existed because nobody knows statistical evidence to show that there is that housing deficit of those figures they are taken around. But as far as we know quite well, Nigeria, there is housing needs, there is housing deficit, but not to that figure that we are saying. And if you look at it, as the Minister has always been saying, that if you go, there is no city in this country where there are no empty houses. There is no Nigerians who are working in these urban centers. They don't have their own additional houses in their own villages. So that means that the house in your village is not being used, and that house cannot be counted as a deficit. So these are the kind of things that we have to manage before you come and establish there is any housing deficit in the country.
But so the issue of housing deficit, let's just say the jury is still out on that particular expression. But how do you explain the millions of Nigerians who sleep under the bridges in urban centers?
Well, that one could be attributed to quite well lack of housing for them. But if you look at within those urban centers, if all the empty houses are given out as rent, they can accommodate all those living under the bridges, as you mentioned. So as much as possible, there are no maybe affordable housing to accommodate those low and middle income earners of Nigerians who need those houses. The houses, quite well, the empty houses that we are having are those that belongs to the high end and the low high end, and those who cannot be, those who are not affordable to some few Nigerians who are the majority, I can say. So as far as we are concerned, or as far as we are talking now, the housing deficit, you'll find that is majorly in the urban centers and is majorly for the high-end houses, while the low and middle income earners are those battling with accommodation problems, and that is the deficit we are talking about.
So you have described it adequately as affordable housing. That is what is missing. So how are we going to achieve that? In other climes, well, let me not just say other climes, in advanced countries, Graduates leave school and they know that they can get a loan to either buy a house or build a house, and they have between 20 and 25 years to pay back that kind of mortgage. I'm not sure that those who take mortgages in Nigeria have that kind of, length of time to pay back those loans. Please tell us about the mortgage industry in this country.
Well, the mortgage industry in Nigeria, as you quite well know, is that it's upcoming currently, because with the establishment of the National Housing Fund, which is saddled with the responsibility of collecting and managing, FMBN was given the responsibility of collecting and managing the fund. The Act states that every Nigerian earning 3,000 naira and above, as established in 1992, should contribute 2.5% of their income into the fund. The fund is a full of fund being managed by the Federal Mortgage Home of Nigeria. And it's said that all Nigerians, that means in the formal and the informal, the private and the public sector, once you are earning an income, you are supposed to make that contribution. Through that contributions, loans are made available to Nigerians, affordable mortgages to Nigerians to access those kind of mortgages in order to do that. As you said in other climes, that is no better way to own home or for home ownership than mortgage, because it's a payment plan where you pay a portion of your monthly income over the years of service, over the years of your service. And that is the best way to do the mortgage. And in Nigeria, quite well, we have this mortgage under the Federal Mortgage Home of Nigeria that was given the sole ownership of collection and managing the fund. The FMBN, as you quite well know, that is the wholly owned federal government agency saddled with the housing finance. And that's through that collections, that's why these mortgages are given out. And FMBN has designed a lot of products and services for Nigerians to access, from the home renovation to the home ownership by purchasing a house to even the individual construction loan to which you access it and build incrementally by yourself. And to the cooperative societies who are from the informal sectors who are also coming on board to also get a loan, construction loan, to build houses for themselves and then create mortgages. We create mortgages for them, or even through the rental. So there are a lot of various products and services that are there for Nigerians to access mortgage in the Federal Mortgage Home of Nigeria under the NHF scheme.
Over what periods are these loans given?
The one scenario is that with Federal Mortgage Home of Nigeria, you'll find that the loans are given at single-digit interest rate, 6 to 7%, and those loans are different from if you go to commercial, you'll get it at 15 to almost 26% interest rate. And it's a long-term repayment, up to 30 years of payment, depending on the years of service remaining within your tenure. And which is different if you go to commercial, they can only give you up to 5 years of loan tenure. So with our loans, you'll find that you have up to 30 years to pay the loan once you access it.
Mr. Dangiwa, you need to explain this a bit further. Let's say, for instance, I earn 300,000 naira per annum, and I have been, contributing towards my mortgage. At what stage, number one, do I qualify for a loan? Is there a cap on the amount that I'm allowed to take? And over what period am I going to pay it back?
Well, once you are a contributor into the National Housing Fund, then you are entitled to access any of our products of loans. That's one. Secondly, that
if I've made contributions for only 1 year, do I qualify for a mortgage?
Well, you contribute for only 6 months. Once you make your contribution for 6 months, within 6 months contributions, you are qualified to access any of our mortgage up to a maximum from 1 million up to 15 million naira mortgages for all the products and services. Okay. And that loan, you are to pay through repayment method of 30% of your monthly income is what need to be deducted in order to repay the loan over the period of time you are to retire, up to a maximum of 30 years. If you are just starting work now, you are 30 years, then you have up to 30 years to go to pay the loan. If you are 40 years, then you have 20 years to go, depending on your occupation. If you are a teacher, you know it's up to 65 years retirement age. So that one has all been factored into that. And Nigerians can access these mortgages through any of the primary mortgage banks who will package your loans. If you want to buy a house, they package the loan and forward it to FMBN, and then we disburse the loans through the primary mortgage bank, and the primary mortgage bank pay on your behalf and commence collection once the keys are handed over to you. So these are the scenario. If you need a home renovation loan, the loan to renovate your house after a maximum of 1 million naira is given to you over a period of 5 years. That's 60 months. And deductions of 30% of your monthly income is the one to be deducted and pay the loan. If you have seen a house you want to buy somewhere, once there is a good title to it, primary mortgage banks are there to package the loans for you to pay for us. This is the loan that is up to a maximum of 15 million naira. That doesn't mean you can buy a house of 20 million. If you have seen a house of 20 million, you pay the 5 million, then we pay the 15 million naira for you, and then we start deduction. That is for buying a house. And if it is for the rent to own, we have product that we have rent to own. That is for the funded estate. For now, we are doing it only for the funded estate that has been funded by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Then you go as a tenant, and deductions are being made. The same 30% of your monthly income is being deducted for repayment over the same period of time is paid. And if you have a good title of land and a approved building plan, you can approach any of our branches nationwide to package the individual construction loan for you, and then we build the houses for you. And for the cooperative societies nationwide, as institutionalized by the Honorable Minister last year, he institutionalized the Cooperative Housing Development Initiative, whereby cooperative societies, especially in the informal sector or even in the formal sector and the ministry departments or agencies, they have a good title. They can approach the FMBN to build an estate for their members. And then once they build the houses, they bring in the members for packaging of the loans for them. And then the cooperative society has paid its loan, and the loans are being transferred to the individual cooperators who have been keyed into the mortgage. So this is the demand side of it. And the supply side of it, we are all involved in both the demand and supply side of the housing finance.
Well, Mr. Langewa, just to be clear, when you say 30% of income will be deducted to repay the loan, the question on my mind is,
yes.
So I'm earning 30,000 naira a month, 10% is 3,000, 9%, 30% is 9,000 naira. And I'm left with 21,000 naira for the rest of the month. Is that what what the scheme says?
Yeah. What the scheme is saying, while you are being contributed into the National Housing Fund, once you contribute 2.5%, that's 1/40 of your income. That's what you should be contributing to qualify for the loan.
2.5%.
And once you access any of our loans, 30% of your loan is being deducted to pay over that. In order for you to know your affordability, if you are earning, let's say, this 30,000, as you said, then 9 million, 30% of 30,000 is deducted. That is 9,000 naira. It's being deducted to the number of months for you to reach 60 years or to retire. That is their own affordability. Because once you accept the loan, that is the method of payment. 30% of your earnings, monthly earning, is being deducted to settle the loan.
Mr. Dangiwe, don't you think that's rather steep? 30%?
Well, it's not. Yeah, 30%. The remaining 70% is left for you to cater for your needs and family needs. Some people, even once you access the loan, they are insisting because of affordability. Most people have low affordability. They are insisting we have to deduct up to 50% of their earnings. We said no. The Act said that 30% of your earning is the one to be used to settle your loan, because the 70% should be enough at least to settle your own family, plus any other income that you are earning that is outside your own salary or your monthly income earning.
Okay.
Because that is the minimum you can be able to pay your loan. Because if you quite well know that there is a low income earning within the country, that low income earning, that is what determines that 30% should be the maximum deductions to settle any of the mortgage loans.
Okay, another thing on that same issue, there are those who feel that getting, I mean, all that you have said sounds really easy, and the steps, unless there's something I'm missing, sound really easy. Just, take your pay slip or something to a primary mortgage fund. Maybe you need to even take us through the process for anyone who is watching right now. Let's even begin from there, because I was going to ask another question altogether. Can you take us through the process? Someone is fresh right now, wants to own a home, and the person wants to take advantage of this initiative you are talking about. What is the process?
The process is that first and foremost, you have to find any of our branches nationwide and register as an NHF contributor, National Housing Fund contributor. Contribution is 2.5% of your income. So whatever it is monthly, you have to be contributing 2.5% of your monthly income into the fund for the rest of the years of service you are having. Once you do that within the first 6 months of your contributions, you can approach any of our branches nationwide and approach them to access any of our mortgages. The first mortgage I said is that of to purchase a house. You have seen a house with a good title in an estate or anywhere individually, then you need to approach a primary mortgage bank and give them the offer. I have seen so-so house in so-so location with a good title. I need to access a mortgage loan through the NHF mortgage. The primary mortgage bank will now collect your pay slip and then profile you. Profiling in the sense, check your affordability. 1/3 of your income times the number of months to retire. If you have 10 years to retire, you have 120 months to retire, times 1/3 of your income. That will determine whether you can afford that house you are having. If you have seen a house of so-so amount, they will check whether that amount can be able to do that. If the affordability cannot meet up with the cost of the house, then you have to pay the equity contribution. You have to pay the balance on the top. And once that is established, primary mortgage bank will now package the loan and forward with the documentation to FMBN. FMBN is the secondary mortgage. Then we collect it and then assess it and then pay the money to the primary mortgage bank on your behalf. Primary mortgage bank will pay the house and then collect the keys and hand over the keys to you. And then we'll start deduction 30% of your monthly income through the primary mortgage bank into the FMBN. The loan is at 6% payment. Whatever you collect, 6% of it, fixed amount will be deducted. It will be added to the repayment and then pay into the FMBN until you liquidate the loan over the period of time of your service. So that is the scenario of it. And until you liquidate the loan, then FMBN will now hand over the certificate of the house to primary mortgage bank and then hand over to you that you have liquidated your loan. And all liquidation of the loan has to be within the tenure of your years of service. Once you liquidate the loan and you are about to retire, that contributions you are doing will be refunded back to you as your own contributions into the fund, and you exited the fund, the National Housing Fund scheme. That's the scenario as far as I'm concerned about it.
Okay.
And for those who are on rent to own, as you quite well know, that we are on both sides, FMBN fund in the demand side and the supply side. Mm-hmm. The supply side is the aspect of construction finance to estate developers through cooperative housing development loan. If it is a cooperative society, that they either have a land tied with good title, or they are selected developer has a good title, they go into collaboration, design the estate affordable to their membership, and then forward that cooperative loan directly to FMBN. FMBN will now assess the mortgage, the construction finance, and then pay through the developer to build the estate for the cooperative society. Once that is built, the houses are standing, the cooperative society has paid its loan, then they bring in the off-takers from their membership, whom he has already forwarded at the inception for us to create mortgages to those members. This one could be directly through the primary mortgage one will be invited to create that mortgage, or you go into rent to own, which we are doing currently. The rent to own is another window whereby an individual get into our houses as a tenant and start paying the loan over the years. start paying the same 30% you are supposed to pay with the PMB, Primary Mortgage Bank. You start paying this 30% of the loan until you liquidate the mortgage. So this is the scenario. We have two aspects of it. We have the demand side and the supply side. That's through the Primary Mortgage Bank or through the cooperative societies.
Okay, so Mr. Dangiwa, I have taken a mortgage and I'm paying 30% of my salary, my monthly salary already. So what happens to the 2.5 that I'm supposed to pay into the fund? Is that still running as well?
Yeah, that one has to be continuously running. You have to continuously run because 2.5% is a very meager amount. If you look at if you're earning 40,000 per month, you are only to pay that's 40,000 per month. 2.5% of 40,000 is 1,000 naira. If you're earning 80,000, it's 2,000. If you're earning 120, it's 3,000. That is what we mean by 2.5%. So that one you continuously paying it, whether you accept the loan or you don't accept the loan. The difference is that if you accept the loan, you'll continue paying the 2.5%,
as well
as then continue paying 30% of your income into the fund to liquidate your loan.
Wow.
At the end of your tenure, by then you have liquidated your loan, then you get back your refund also. If you didn't access any of the loan, you also get back your refund for the contributions you have made.
Well, there is also that thorny issue of land tenure. Of course, we know very well that every land in Nigeria is vested in the hands of the governor. Is there any intervention on the part of the FMBN concerning that for those who want to be homeowners?
Well, yeah, quite well. What we did we realized that there was a time we wrote an MOU, or we signed an MOU with the labor centers, Nigeria Labor Congress, Trade Union Congress, and the Nigerian Employees Consultative Assembly to provide national affordable housing delivery to Nigerian workers. In that MOU we signed, we sent letters to all the 36 state governors to give us a parcel of land within their own domain in order to build affordable houses for their own citizens who are contributors into the fund. And luckily, we have gotten land currently to 24 state governors, and that's the houses we have built, affordable houses for Nigerians living in those states. And we are still pursuing other state governors to give us land. So this is one area whereby state governors can contribute or can donate land at no cost to the FMBN initiative through developers whom will now build affordable houses for Nigerians. Because the cost of the land, if we are to purchase it, will add up to the cost of the selling houses of the houses. But if they are donated by state governors, at least the cost of land is eliminated and it becomes more affordable to their citizens. And secondly, we have been encouraged to meet with the Nigerian Governors Forum to urge them or to solicit from them to ensure there is easy access to land to Nigerians, especially when it comes to issuance of certificate of occupancy. It should be easy accessible, it should be cost effective, it should be cheaper for Nigerians to access easy access to land. Because we have a product whereby once you have a good title, you just make a design and get a building plan approval and you get a loan to build houses, individual construction loan by yourself, and then over a period of time. And then at the same time, once you access mortgage, there is the issue of perfection and consent of the governor. There must be consent of the governor for any mortgage to materialize. There has to be perfection of those documents. And over the years, you will find that the consent of the governors has become tedious, has become very expensive. In most of the cases, you'll find that up to 10% some people earn. So you can't be getting a loan at 6% and you are paying above 6% for just to get a consent of land to access the mortgage. So that's why we asked the state governors through the Nigerian Governors Forum, which I was privileged to meet them and then solicit for that support, to reduce any consent and any perfection of documents to a minimum of, let's say, 1% total of all this cost, in order for the citizens to have easy access to mortgages. Because mortgages cannot be perfect, cannot be established without consent of the governors, without perfection of these documents with the governors. So that is the efforts we are making, and we have done that to all the state governors, and we are still pursuing that. Though some governor has responded, to which we are now pursuing others to key into that strategy.
When you were talking earlier, you said that a person who obtains a mortgage will pay 30% of their salary, and it's calculated up to the time when they retire. Suppose the person is in the private sector. What kind of arrangements are there for such a person?
Well, those in the private sector are not out of this arrangement because NHF is for all Nigerians, in the private, in the public, or even in the informal sector. So what is there is that for those who are working, we'll ask that the employer maybe to deduct and pay into us. For those who are self-employed, we have to ensure that we make an arrangement that is very risk-free to ensure that we recover our loans from them. There has to be a standing payment instructions, because once you have an account, then we request you to give us standing payment instruction through your banks to deduct a so amount of money monthly and pay us as repayment of your loan. To deduct 2.5% of that amount, also of the salary, to pay as an NHF contribution. So that standing payment instructions will be used as an avenue to recover our loans once you are from the self-employed or you are in the informal sector.
Well, Mr. Dangel, there is a concern among several people who use this service, who have tried to access the scheme. Many of them say that the issue they have is usually at the point of the primary mortgage banks. They believe that the primary mortgage banks, are quite a hard nut to crack. They seem to make the process excessively cumbersome, and consequently accessing the services of FMBN is quite tedious from that point. Is this something you are aware of? What's been done about it?
Well, quite well we are aware of it. When we came on board some years back, 4 or 5 years ago, we tried to institutionalize a meeting, a collaborative monthly meeting with the PMBs through their umbrella body of Mortgage Banker Association of Nigeria, where we report any of the primary mortgage banks that are making it cumbersome for them. And we ensure that the time we review our processes and the turnaround time, we invited them in that retreat, where we reviewed our turnaround time within so months. Any loan that comes into us from a primary mortgage bank, so weeks, it has to be consummated and then pay back. So we said that even a primary mortgage bank, you have to ensure you key into that. Secondly, you have to ensure that there is no excessive charges, because those excessive charges have made it tedious for the contributors to key into these mortgage loans. So we ensure that any off-taker who needs a mortgage loan is not shortchanged or is not charged exorbitantly by the primary mortgage banks. And we always treat those kind of cases through that inbound FMBN meeting we used to hold monthly in our office. So in order to do that also, we realized that we have a lot of funded estates nationwide that FMBN has already funded. So we say that there is an alternative to even the NHF. If you feel that the NHF, you cannot be able to go into that, please, there is a rent-to-own option for you to buy into our rent-to-own without through the primary mortgage banks, without payment of equity or even perfection fees. You will enter as a tenant and start paying the same amount you are paying, and then you pay your loan with ease and with quick and easy access to it.
Well, that sounds like a good idea, but for those whose applications are staying with the primary mortgage banks, maybe you want to tell us what's the cycle of any particular transaction per time. What's the time between the time I put in for the loan and the time I get the loan? Is there a specific number of days, weeks, or months that I have to wait?
Well, when you start from the primary mortgage bank, When I said earlier, when an off-taker or a contributor or any individual who wants to access the loan identified a house he wants, he gets an offer letter from that the developer and then present it to a primary mortgage bank. A primary mortgage bank needs to collect that offer, needs to confirm whether that offer is still subsisting, needs to ensure that there is a good title to that offer, so that to ensure that the land, that house is situated, has a good title. With those documentation, he collects your pay slips and do affordability tests to ensure that that is done. So all these things shouldn't take some weeks. Let's say 2 to 3 weeks is done. And then from there, you forward it to FMBN. With the comment to the FMBN, FMBN will go through the documents and ensure that will also do reconfirmation of that title and confirm your place of work and then your status of your earnings, and then package the loan and pay it. So the whole cycle shouldn't be more than 89 days or 90 days maximum. And that's what we are doing currently to ensure that all loans are within 90 days and then it's given out. But some scenario do occur. You'll find that at the time a primary mortgage loan has packaged a loan, because ourselves, we are not giving the loan directly to an individual. We are giving the loan to a primary mortgage bank, and then primary mortgage is giving the loan out to an individual. So we have to ensure that the primary mortgage bank meet all conditions for disbursement of that loans. That is where the delay comes in. You'll find that you will make a lot of approvals, but the primary mortgage bank will not be able to access all the approval that you have given out, because of the fact that the primary mortgage has to collateralize, has to give a collateral equivalent to the amount of loan we are giving out, and then they take them to the individual. And the individual collateral is the house itself to which you collateralize it. Some other conditions has to be met by the primary mortgage bank before you disburse. So that's some of the delays that usually come about. But a primary mortgage bank that doesn't have any issues to do with that, it's a smooth ride. Within 90 days, we disburse the money, and then within 1 or 2 weeks after meeting our conditions for disbursement, you get the loan disbursed to the developer whom you are purchasing the house for you, and then the keys are handed over to you, and then mortgage is consummated, and then you start doing that. Okay, quite well, as I said earlier, the issue of consent has to be there with the state where the land is located.
Okay. So the individual who wants a mortgage now will approach a primary mortgage bank, not the Federal Mortgage Bank. Am I correct?
Yes, quite well.
So
for
it is the
purchase of a house.
Is the PMB the primary mortgage bank?
Yes.
Which will then approach the Federal Mortgage Bank?
Yes.
So an individual cannot come to the Federal Mortgage Bank to ask for a mortgage?
An individual cannot come to Federal Mortgage Bank to ask for a mortgage to purchase a house, but he can come to Federal Mortgage Bank directly to construct individual construction loan. If you want to build your own house, you have a good title with approved building plan, you go to any branches nationwide where that land is located. If your land is located in Kebbi State, then you approach our primary mortgage bank, or you approach our office in Kebbi. They will package your loan and send it to us, then we approve and disburse to you directly. But if you are to purchase a house, then it has to be through a primary mortgage bank.
Okay, so my 2.5% that I pay every month, I will have to pay to a primary mortgage bank?
No. It has to be, that one is a direct contribution to FMBN, because that contributions is directly to us, that form the pool of funds to which we disburse these loans. So the contributions has to be directly to us, to the primary mortgage bank, or to the FMBN. But if you want a loan for the purchase of a house, the primary mortgage banks are the ones to package the loan and forward to us, then we disburse to them, and then they start deducting. Because the scenario is that the primary mortgage bank should have the capacity. Most of them, they don't have the capacity to directly lend the loan and then come back to FMBM for refinancing. That is what is supposed to be. primary mortgages have their own funding. They create the mortgages, and then they collect the collection of mortgages. They come to Federal Mortgage Bank and then present it to us. Then we refinance. Then we just pay them for them to go and make more mortgages. But the scenario now is that they don't have the funding to go directly, but they become an agent. They collect, processed, forward it to us, we disburse to them, and then they disburse. That is the scenario now.
Okay. Do I make any contribution to the primary mortgage bank?
No contribution to a primary mortgage bank.
Okay.
Because you don't need any of that to do that. All you need to do to a primary mortgage bank, they will ask you, open an account for us, with us, so that you pay your own contributions through us, and then we pay back FMBN its own loan after we deduct our interest. Because that 6% interest rate, as I said earlier, PNB gets 2% out of it. And then they send the principal amount of repayment plus 4% of the principal amount, because they have taken their own 2%. That 4%, we take 2% to run our activities, and then 2% is paid to a contributor who kept on contributing, and then when he retires, he gets his total contributions plus 2% interest.
Interesting.
When he retires.
Just a very, very quick one that I wanted to ask you. You talked about excessive charges of the PMBs. What do you mean by that?
Well, some PMBs, apart from the normal charges that we are supposed to do, they charge you administrative charge, they charge you cost of perfection, they charge you cost of consent, and all those charges are not, sometimes they just put a flat rate to it. And then you find that those flat rates are in excess of what they usually pay for that. So these are some of the excessive charges they do. Administrative charge shouldn't be more than at least 0.5% of that amount, so that that should be enough for administrative charges to charge. But some primary mortgage banks, they go to the extent of charging up to 5% or even 6% equivalent even to the loans. So we'll find that we are trying to create affordable mortgages, but it's no more affordable because of these excess charges from the primary mortgage banks and some excess charges even from the state governments through consent or perfection of documents.
So, Mr. Dangwa, how are people protected from this kind of thing that you've talked about? You know, what's the reporting line? What's the process of reporting any such thing from any, PMB to the FMBN, or who do people report to?
Well, once you are into our mortgage, once you are an NHF contributor, you have the right to protection from us. We have to protect you. You are a contributor and you have access to a mortgage, even if it is through a primary mortgage bank. If there's any excess charges, all you need to do is report to them. They didn't rectify it. You report directly to us. Because through that cause, we have been able to sort a lot of problems through the instrumentality of the umbrella body, which is the primary mortgage, which is the Mortgage Banker Association of Nigeria, where we meet and then discuss these issues and ensure that they pursue the primary mortgage bank that err, and then they try to do that. There are instances where even we report a primary mortgage bank to CBN, where we disburse amount of money for a group of mortgages to disburse to those individuals. And within the stipulated time of disbursement, they refuse to disburse, they will go ahead and start trading with those monies. So we have given them, if you disburse money to you, and you stay with the money for more than 60 days you didn't disburse, you have to return back the money to us. Whether they couldn't get, whether the requirements for disbursement to the individual has not been met or not, you have to refund the money to us. We have found cases whereby some primary mortgage banks refuse to refund that money. They refuse to disburse the money given to them over 60 days, and we report them to CBN, and CBN are there to deduct from source those amount of money from those PMBs.
Sorry, just very, very quickly, is this loan in any way affected by fluctuating, naira value?
No, it's a fixed price and even a fixed sum. We sold a house for you today at 5 million naira. You pay over 30 years. So every year we divide that 5 million naira over 30 years. 30 times 12, that's 360 months.
Okay.
Then you pay that.
Okay.
You pay that into that. And then the interest rate at every amount you are paying that principal amount, you also pay 6% of that fixed amount, and then keep on paying until you could liquidate the loan. So at any point in time, you'll find that the houses are not affected by inflation or currency fluctuations.
Well, we have to thank you very much for being a part of this. I just wonder if FMBN gives salaram to your faithful customers. Don't answer that one. Just want to thank you very much. Ahmed Dangiwa, Managing Director, CEO, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Thank you very much for this insightful information you've given us.
Thank you.
So, Sunrise returns in a moment. Please stay with us.